fight, if you'd have stepped between the ropes at cruiserweight with Oleksandr Usyk, are you confident you would have been the man to beat him? If so, how?
Yeah, I'd like to believe in my prime, the night I fought sort of Macronelli or Mormek, the speed and the timing, and I always like southpaws. My right hand landed, and watching Tony Bellew fight Usyk. Tony Bellew was controlling the fight whilst he was there. If he was younger, if he was fresher, he could have he could have done a lot better. If I put myself in that same fight with Usyk and Tony and take Tony out, put my prime in there, I think I'd have definitely got that guy out of there. Obviously, the guy now is a different animal now at heavyweight. He's put on some weight now. He's had tremendous fights. His fight against Derek Chisora was a very close one. He scraped a sort of majority victory there. When I fought Derek, I knocked him out in 5 rounds. So we had only one sort of similar opponent, and Tony Bellew. He knocked Tony Bellew out. Tony Bellew knocked me out twice. So I think I'd have been confident going into a fight with him. It'd have been tricky. It'd have been hard, but I would have found a way to get to him, and I wouldn't have allowed some of the stuff that he does to some of these bigger heavyweights. The stuff that he does to Anthony Joshua, he wouldn't have been able to do to me, because I'll be gone quicker than he is. So
those are the words of David Haye. And he says, David Haye, in his heyday, that he would have stopped Usyk. The things that Usyk's able to do, he wouldn't have allowed Usyk to do. He looked at the Tony Bellew fight, and Tony Bellew probably would have done better if he was fresher. And of course, Tony Bellew just come off 2 surprising wins of David Haye before he jumped in there with Oleksandr Usyk, and let me counterpunch for a second. I think that styles make fights. There's no doubt about it that David Haye does have great power for a cruiserweight division. I think he was pretty much a very underrated puncher. Okay, because again, he was able to get guys like Chisora out of there. You know what I mean? Even when he was past that prime or past the cruiserweight limit, he went up and he fought Derek Chisora. However, Derek Chisora is a guy that, he comes right at you, so he's not hard to hit. But the point is the fact that, if you stand in front of David Haye, he has the knockout power to hit you and knock you out. Could he have done that to Oleksandr Usyk? That's a tricky one. Like he said, he wasn't really talking trash. But like he said, I feel like I would have been able to get Usyk out of there. And the timing, David Haye was very fast in his heyday, so it would be a very interesting fight. I just think you ask yourself this question with David Haye, okay? David Haye was a guy that in the first fight with Tony Bellew, he was injured. He was injured. He was, then he fought him again. Then he was stopped again, and I don't see him dealing with that type of movement from Usyk like that. I think it would be more like Timothy Bradley and Manny Pacquiao. Because as you guys know, Pacquiao gave Timothy Bradley all kind of fits just due to the constant jumping, stepping, stepping back, stepping forward, stepping back, stepping forward, and you keep doing that. And Usyk does a good job of that, just getting you off your rhythm, just, feints. And then he does that, plus the movement side to side at the same time. It would have been difficult to fight him. He is right, though, David Haye. Tony Bellew probably, if anybody came close to having a blueprint to beat Oleksandr Usyk, it would be Tony Bellew. The only problem with Bellew is he ran out of gas, and then he was starting to get tagged when he started running out of gas. But I do believe this. I do believe that Usyk wasn't trying to knock him out or hurt him the first 4 rounds. I think he was just trying to see what Tony Bellew had in his arsenal, on display. I think he was in there to see exactly what Tony Bellew was going and what he had to offer. Okay. I could be wrong, but then I think based on the interview he said after that, he was just trying to, fill him out first. And then, then the second 4 rounds, he got him out of there in round 8. And David Haye, he is an awkward fighter and he's able to throw certain type of punches, and the question is, could he land perfectly that right hand where it needed to be on Oleksandr Usyk? And I have no doubt about it. I think Usyk's a tough guy, but I think David Haye at that weight class was a magnificent cruiserweight, but I think someone tough like Usyk, I think, Usyk ate a lot of Tony Bellew's shots too. All right. So and he ate Joshua's shots. So listen, you can put on weight, but you can't put on durability. You know what I mean? Putting on weight doesn't mean you're putting on durability. If you're tough, you're just going to be tough. If your punch resistance is a certain amount, it's a certain amount. Now, there is a such thing of losing weight, because when you lose weight, you're losing fluid and you're losing energy and you're losing a lot of stuff like that. And you better ask Roy Jones Jr. Y'all must have forgot about his career when he went to heavyweight, then decided to come back down south. So that could put a straight, very stringent stress factor on your body. So you need to take that in consideration. But as far as David Haye goes with Oleksandr Usyk right now, looking at those guys fight, I don't see Usyk really getting... Usyk doesn't really trade with you. What he does, he fights similar to Manny Pacquiao. Everybody tries to compare him to Lomachenko, but I think he's more like Manny Pacquiao because of the type of... He throws 1, 2, 3, 4, but just, I think, with better defense. So, I don't think he has that explosive left like Manny did, but, overall, the way he moves and, his physicality and stuff like that, I think that what tires people out over time. And if David Haye can't hurt him or knock him out or can't stop him, he's just going to get beat up. Because, see, Usyk's going to start landing on Haye. And we've seen Haye, when he gets pressured, he turns into a very defensive, Hector Camacho-like guy, like he did with Vladimir Klitschko. He started getting hit, and then he just started holding. Okay, and I don't think Usyk is going to let him hold like that. Okay, I don't see that happening. I see Usyk seeing that he's trying to hold and then catch, step back and give him 2 or 3 shots for trying to hold instead of fighting. Okay, so... it would be a very interesting fight. You guys tell me what you think of David Haye, stating that he would stop Usyk if they fought prime to prime. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.